Okay, guys. So I think that a lot of people, especially learners who are like a year in, less than a year and a year in, like one and a half, even some who are just further along. So what they're trying to get into content, maybe you're reading or watching something, and it's it's not that it's way above your level so much, but what I've noticed is people are neglecting like deliberate study of vocabulary prior to like their immersion. So one of the quickest ways to get like a first look at words is simply just to deliberately go through like a vocabulary book, and then obviously you're not going to learn the word from that, and I don't expect you to 100% learn the word just from that. But my advice is to use the vocabulary books to get words. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm just seeing so many people. So I've got some examples here that I will show you in a second. I'm seeing too many people trying to read stuff, and it's not that they're trying to read stuff that's too hard. It's that they're trying to read stuff, and then they're sharing like, oh, look how many words I highlighted. But some of the words they're highlighting are so common that it's like you can eradicate that by using. So instead of using a frequency list, what you do is like these books that are designed for like topic or whatever, these vocabulary books, vocabulary apps, which I'll share in a second because most of them are free anyway. These are worth going through because they show you the most common words anyway. So if they're showing you the most common words, it helps you then get into native content quicker without having to highlight. Like, what's the point in reading something if you don't understand like half the words? It's too difficult. You don't understand what's going on. You don't understand half the words. So what I want to say is that you should spend, especially at the beginning, if you're like less than 6 months in, you should definitely be going through these stuff, these vocabulary books and other things that are about apps and whatever I'll show you, just to get like the knowledge that the word exists. Because once you have the knowledge the word exists, that's when you start seeing it everywhere. You start seeing it everywhere. You see, I know this, and that's like it starts the process of learning the word. So you don't necessarily need the context the first time. It's just to like let yourself know it exists. But the thing is, all of these books and apps they come with example sentences as well. So I want to show you these few people. So this person here, the first person, the first two examples, they are only like 6 months in. But the reason I asked them to use their screen caps, and the reason for this was they were highlighting some like just really common words that you could easily like get rid of. So since this was a while ago. So since this, the person has started using the Sejong Hagdang Ohi, which is free to use completely, and it has about 4,000 words in it. So you're gonna eliminate like how are you highlighting like 눈빛 표현, 하나면 된다. Like that's pretty much grammar there. So this is like going through the grammar books as well. And then 이미 가득, like these shouldn't be highlighted. 상대 shouldn't be highlighted. 느끼다 shouldn't be highlighted. 수천 shouldn't be highlighted. 가지 shouldn't be highlighted. 감정 shouldn't be highlighted. Like if you go through the book, and you could go through all the books, all the apps, you're gonna cover the most like the same ground anyway, because they're just the most common words over and over and over and over and over again. So you don't necessarily have to go through all of them, but going through one of them is going to give you a leg up when you come in to read something like that. Like this is a pretty simple text. It's not like extremely difficult. There are a few words which I don't think like jachit is not going to show up in any of them, and maybe kashik doesn't show up, or it shows up in the end of like the higher level ones, because in Korean you just need so many words. Like this isn't English or a European language. I'm seeing in Refold they're talking about making 1K decks, and I asked them in the Italian one. I was like, why don't you take it up to 5K or something? Yeah, and they just said like, oh well, we believe that 1K is the best. And no, 1K is nothing. A language has like 30K words. Like imagine every single native speaker has like 25K words in every language. So 2K words, 1K words, 3K words isn't, it's just nothing. It's just nothing. You can't read anything because you don't understand like 50% of the words even still. And then when you don't understand 50% of the words, you don't understand 50%. You don't understand more than 50% of the sentences. So the second one here, just to give more examples, cham, yeah, back. Like these words, like you should know them. Like the jazeng, yeah, like come on, like most imi again, like jongo, and then karikida. That all these words mugopta, these words show up all the time. Irukida shows up. You know, it doesn't take that long to go through the things. Okay, you can highlight them. Maybe you forget you highlight them, but you can just reduce the amount of highlights. You can reduce the amount of unknown words just by deliberately studying vocab. This person here has been studying for like 5 years. They said, obviously not straight up 5 years, 5 years on and off. But some of the words that they've highlighted, like dara, yeah, like darada here, and then like chapida, like a lot of these things could be reduced or like removed completely. Like how you used to highlight in dol, like this is what I mean. Like 50% of these highlights could easily be like reduced or completely removed just from deliberately studying vocab. So this is what I want to tell you to do, and I think that it's just a way to it'll just speed up the process. It'll speed up everything, and then when you start watching like TV shows, when you start like you can do that straight away, but doing the deliberate vocab study like maybe after grammar. So do grammar and then do the vocab, or just do them like an hour a day each or something like that, just together. And then when you do your extra curricular, like oh I'm just gonna watch something, or I'm just gonna read something, like that's it. It just reduces the amount, and then you start seeing them all the time. Like budichitta here is it shows up in all of them. Like it just shows up in all of them. Suyom, like they're so like nundongja. There's so many words here that could just be reduced by just going through the apps, going through vocabulary like deliberately to just to make yourself aware that words exist. So let's move on. So where can we get them? So I'm just going to show you a PDF because whatever you can find this online. This is 2,000 words, Derek One Essential 2,000 words, and this is what the beginner vocabulary deck and the intermediate vocabulary deck are made from. So it's a good idea to go through these and then use those decks because you can when you go through it yourself, you can then like your brain remembers that you went through it. So, in the deck, I've basically put the word and the sentences, and not the translation, because the point is to like read the sentence and understand the sentence. It doesn't matter if you understand all the words, and if you don't look them up anyway. But this one here is the important word, which will help when you're repping the deck anyway. So the repping the deck like just refreshes them, so you don't have to keep reading through this. So you can find this online, or you can buy the book. I'll leave the link in the description, and then if you want to choose to support the company, you can. I don't think we have the intermediate one. No one has the intermediate one as a PDF or anything, so you can't use that. So you probably have to buy the book to use that, but you can just use the deck and then look up the words. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. And then we also have this Soksok one, which is basically the same thing. These have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but you can't get these outside of Korea. So you basically have to find them on Google or something, maybe somewhere else. So these are technically free, but technically paid at the same time. But these are so good, and I find one of the problems I had with Italian was I couldn't find anything like this, and this is so good for just getting into the language, and you just do this, and then you go watch something, and you're like, oh damn, I heard that word, I heard that word, I saw that word. Say you've got subtitles on, I saw that word, and then you're reading a book, I've seen that word, I've seen that word, and you come, you know where you've seen the words before, so it just starts you off. It starts you off from zero. All right, so I'll go through the free options now. So one of the free options is this. So you go onto the Chaodict, and then you go to the advanced search. And what you can do is, you see these levels here, is you can just start on elementary level, and then you could possibly, you could just take all them, but you can move it down a bit. And then say we just search by that. So here we have how many words? So 1,000 words here, yeah. And it's probably better to, how did I do? Oh, so by hits here, and then instead of just having like alphabetical order words, you'll have the words like this, and then you can just go through them. You don't need to look at all the meanings. Maybe just look at the first meaning, like oh okay, that's what it means. And this is good because you can read the sentence. Then even if you can't read this one, you can still read that. But this is, I would say this is more for the people who would, instead of going on elementary, but you can still go through it if you want. But this is better if you go like intermediate, advanced. So if you actually do that, there's like 20,000 words, probably like 10,000 words, yeah, 9,000 words. So and then that's sorted by hits. So this is apparently one of the most common words that have been searched for in the dictionary, and they probably are. And this is the 2-star words and the 3-star words. So even when you have all these like 10,000 words and you've seen them all, it helps you then go to your reading when you're doing reading and stuff. Like, personally, this is the long-winded way, and you probably don't need to do this. But if you've got like extra time and you want to do something active, but you don't have anything to read, or you just want to quickly go through something, so you can quickly just go through these like yeah, umgida, yeah, and you can just come with, and you can just look at it and see what you just know that it exists. That's it. And then, but when you're reading it, that's when you get the understanding of the word. Like when you read the sentences, and then you understand the sentence, that's when you get the understanding. So this kind of sucks because you don't have the examples like you do with the books and this one here, the Sejong app. So the Sejong app here has 1,700 words in the basic and 3,000 words in intermediate. This is probably the best app. Like, forget what I just said about the dictionary, because this is like the dogs. So, and then I don't know what these 1,600 extra cards are, or these 200. I'm not sure because I haven't actually finished the intermediate or the beginner. But I went through a little bit to see what it was like, and they have pictures and everything yet. And I have gone through this one here. This one has about 3,000 words, I think, as well. That this is for like new specific words, but technically a lot of them still come up anyway, and it's more just like higher level vocab than the first two. So here's some screenshots from that. So it has like a bunch of different sections, and you just click on them, go through the words, like 37 words, 24 words, 20 words, 15 words, and you just do a few a day. Like I would say do like at least a section a day. But I think that I don't know if you can review the words within the app. So when I use the app more, which I always mean to get around to, but because I can already read and stuff, it's very hard for me to just go through it and like do it specifically. But I will probably make a video just dedicated to this one app because it's so good, and it has example sentences for all of them. Here is one, and it has audio, but this is robotic audio. I think that you can not pay, but you use the in-game, like the in-app credits, which you get from doing the app, to get like the real human voices. But it doesn't really matter because the sound's not important. As long as you understand one of these sentences, it's gonna help you like understand what is going on with this word. So you have the description. I think you can put it in English as well. So there's this. You can have it in English, Chinese, or Spanish. Although you might want to start off in English, and then by the time you got to the intermediate, you could put it into Korean. But I'm not sure what the interface looks like in English. I'm not sure how much of this is English. I presume that the description would be in English, but this part would be in Korean as well. That's the example sentences, and then it also has like extra things here, but you're obviously not going to remember them, so it doesn't matter. But you can still look at them, and that's all that matters. All that matters is you're just priming your brain to get the vocabulary, and by doing this, it's so effective because you'll see the advice everywhere. You'll see the advice everywhere around. Every polyglot is telling you to do a lot of them say like, oh, the 5K, the frequency list. So frequency list. So the reason they're top of the frequency list is because they come up all the time. And then when you start getting to like 5,000 words, they start becoming like way less frequent. And then like 10,000 words, like more like less frequent. So to be honest, in Korean, specifically in Korean, well, I'm just talking about Korean now, you are gonna need like 30,000 words to understand like the majority of content. Maybe like 20,000 words. Your aim should be at least 10,000, and then you should see where you are. Like you don't need to use these, but once you get to about 5,000, once you've gone through, I'd say that once you've gone through this Sejong app, and once you've gone through this one, you will understand a lot of the words. But the thing is, you will still be so far off, and you'll be reading, and you'll still be coming across words that you don't know because you will just constantly, forever, come across words you don't know. The book I'm reading now, how far am I in? Like 2 years and 6 months. So the book I'm reading now is technically like a 90s web novel, yeah. So this book still has like a few words that I don't know, but it's not too bad, and that is because I did the vocab and then read, and then sometimes I even went back to the vocab just to read through the vocab. I went through this maybe like a year and a half in after I'd started reading, but I personally didn't do this. I went through the 2000 words books, both of them. I've got the physical for the intermediate, which I found on eBay super cheap. So you can check eBay as well. But for these two, I will leave the link in the description because they're the only two that you can actually buy outside of Korea. This Soksok one, you can find all three of them online as PDFs, and that should get you going. So, another thing I want to say is just choose one and just finish it. Don't do one. Don't do this one. Do this one. Start the app. Do the dictionary. Whatever. I've just closed that box. Then it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what you start. What you start, but just make sure you're like starting one thing and finishing it. You start something, finish it. Start something, finish it, and then that's all that matters. Is that because if you start this one and finish it, and then you start this one and finish it, like, and you say you just did all the beginner ones, it's like giving your brain enough space between it to rep them. Like, especially if you're understanding the sentences, it makes it even better. But you still want to get into reading as well. So like deliberate grammar, deliberate vocab, and reading, and then you just at the night you just listen or whatever, and that's like you can spend 4 hours a day, one on grammar, one on vocab, one on reading, and then just doing it. And I think pretty much everyone can fit in even like 1 hour, 2 hours a day, you can fit that in. And then whether you have to change that to like half an hour this, half an hour that, or even alternating days, it doesn't really matter. But the point is to get the vocab done because it will just help reduce, it will reduce like 50, more than 50% of the highlights on this page, and at least 50% of the highlights on this page. I haven't actually calculated it, but there's things like yasan which don't show up, but then a lot of them you can just get rid of. So that's the advice. Thank you for watching. Good night.